I find the learning cycle such a powerful tool for teaching students. So to review, there's this basket down here. So this sort of represents all the things we need. And then this line is getting stuff into our brains, and this line is getting stuff out of our brains, and we're checking to see if we know it or we don't know it. And we're trying to be as accurate as possible. And the stuff we don't know, we go back to the basket, a slightly smaller basket, and we try to learn it in a new way. So this is a really helpful way to explain to students what's happening inside of our brains. And I use this with a lot of students, and some students have come up with really clever ways of expanding on it. And one this week I thought was quite brilliant. So we have this line that goes from the stuff we don't know back to the basket. And I've always just kind of left what we know out here to the side. But one student said, oh wait, but I like to think of it as this goes back to our brains. So this really is in our brains. So that's kind of the loop. And then when we test ourselves again, we can also pull from our brains and make sure we know it. And it wasn't just a fluke, or if time has passed that we still know it. So it's kind of this nice feedback loop in this assessment process. Because sometimes what happens with students is that we think we know it, and then we put it aside for good, and we don't look at it. But sometimes it's so off, like such a gap between where we are and then when the test is, that we often don't really know all of these by the time we get to the test. So I thought this was really brilliant of him, because he's also building in a little sub-cycle over here that builds in spaced repetition and continual assessment of our abilities. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I thought, oh, that is really a nice, beautiful articulation of what's happening, and that it also prevents a very common error of thinking we know stuff when we don't, or we knew it and then right now it's not quite coming to the forefront of our mind, because what tests are asking us to do is to prove that we currently know something. So as we prepare for tests, we want to get closer and closer to closing this gap and making sure we really do know it. If you have any questions, it's jessica@DIYhomework.com.